9-year-old girl dies in foster care, and for nearly a year, investigators have been silent on what caused her to stop breathing.
The child's grandmother tells WBZ's I-Team that the system failed that girl.
18-year-old Elizabeth Baldonado was about to become a mother to her 16-year-old boyfriend.
Well, some shocking video now coming from New York. Police say it's an attempted mob hit caught on camera. Take a look. This happened Wednesday in the Bronx. The suspect was seen firing several shots at 41-year-old Salvatore Zotalo, the son of a Bonanno crime family associate. Zotalo desperately tries to escape the gunman. He was then rushed to the hospital and did survive, but authorities say he's not cooperating with their investigation.
Hosu Ruz's child, but tragedy struck when Hosu was murdered in broad daylight.
19, a young couple was shot inside their West Side home. Today, on the third anniversary of that tragedy, their families are still pleading for justice.
The murder happened on a busy Friday morning.
Now we begin with a cold case here in Columbia. A year after her death, the family of 19-year-old Trinity Sanders still searching for answers and seeking justice. News 19's Peyton Lewis tells us more.
March 4th, 2022, in Albuquerque, New Mexico. It was a shocking incident that would unfold into a disturbing investigation. Hosu was shot dead in an alley behind Lindy's Diner at around 11:20 a.m. People nearby heard a deafening gunshot but didn't see the shooter. They did, however, spot a gold Toyota Lexus speeding away from the scene, with a young man, possibly a high school student, in the vehicle. The boy was seen wearing an apron, which led detectives to the nearby diner where Hosu had worked. As detectives questioned witnesses and gathered statements, they soon learned that Hosu had been a part of a complex situation that involved his girlfriend, Elizabeth, and her family. What seemed like a random shooting quickly became more twisted as the investigation delved deeper. The killer's identity remained unknown, but a lead would eventually reveal a shocking truth. Someone close to Elizabeth had played a role in the death of her unborn child's father. The murder on the morning of March 4th, 2022, chaos struck when 16-year-old Hosu Ruiz was murdered in broad daylight. At around 11:20 a.m., a loud gunshot echoed through the alley behind Lindy's Diner in Albuquerque, New Mexico. A crowd gathered, but no one had seen the shooter. What they did see, however, was a gold Toyota Lexus speeding away from the scene. Witnesses reported a young man in the car, and they described him as possibly a high school student. His apron suggested he worked at a nearby restaurant, which would later lead investigators to Lindy's Diner, where Hosu had been employed. The victim, wearing an apron, had been a familiar face at the diner. His sudden disappearance sent shockwaves through the tight-knit community, and the investigation into his murder began. Detectives were quick to question the witnesses, but found little more than a vague description of the getaway vehicle and the mysterious young man seen fleeing the scene. As they scoured the area, they were left with one crucial lead, the Toyota Lexus, which might have been connected to the killer. The search for the truth would soon uncover a much darker reality: family involvement. As the investigation into Hosu Ruz's murder progressed, detectives began to focus on his family and those closest to him, especially his 17-year-old girlfriend, Elizabeth Baldonado. Elizabeth, who was pregnant with Hosu's child, had been in a relationship with him for over a year. Detectives knew that family dynamics could often play a role in such violent acts, so they turned their attention to Elizabeth's family. Elizabeth's mother, Elizabeth Ortiz Chavez, became a person of interest. It was soon discovered that Elizabeth's younger brother, Angelo Baldonado, had a feud with Hosu. Although Elizabeth insisted that the conflict between Hosu and her brother had nothing to do with the murder, detectives began to suspect that the tension between the two might have been more significant than she had let on. As they dug deeper into the lives of the Baldonado family, detectives learned that Elizabeth's mother had played a pivotal role in orchestrating a fight between Hosu and Angelo. The fight was supposed to be a way for the two to settle their differences, but it was clear that there was more to the situation than just a teenage disagreement. The investigators now faced a tangled web of lies and secrets within Elizabeth's family, and it became evident that they might have been hiding something much darker. Key leads detectives were working tirelessly to piece together the events surrounding Hosu Ruz's murder. One crucial lead came when investigators reviewed Hosu's text messages. these revealed that he had been arranging a meeting with someone on the day of the murder, but it wasn't clear yet who he was meeting or why. In addition to these messages, Hosu's phone records also showed that he had been texting with Elizabeth earlier that morning, which led investigators to consider the possibility that she knew more than she had previously shared. As they continued to follow up on the gold Toyota Lexus seen speeding away from the crime scene, detectives learned that Elizabeth's mother, Chavez, owned a vehicle matching the description given by witnesses. Chavez claimed her car had broken down that morning, but the timeline of events didn't add up. Surveillance footage from nearby areas contradicted her story, showing her Lexus near the scene of the crime, contradicting her claim that she had been nowhere near the alley. Further digging into the family's involvement revealed a shocking truth. Elizabeth's younger brother, Angelo, was found to have been in the area at the time of the shooting. Cell phone data placed him in the alley behind the diner, and text messages between him and Hosu indicated that a violent confrontation was planned. The detectives now had enough to believe that the murder was not a random act, but a carefully planned event orchestrated by someone close to Elizabeth. Chavez's lies. As the investigation deepened, Elizabeth Ortiz Chavez's story began to unravel. Chavez initially claimed that her gold Toyota Lexus had broken down that morning, but the evidence told a different story. Detectives had already reviewed surveillance footage showing her car near the crime scene at the time of the murder. Chavez's reluctance to admit the truth raised more suspicions. She insisted that she had left her car on the side of the road, but investigators found no trace of the vehicle where she claimed to have left it. When confronted with these inconsistencies, Chavez continued to deny any involvement, but her behavior became more suspicious. She had orchestrated a fight between her son Angelo and Hosu, but now, the evidence was suggesting that her actions went much further. Chavez's behavior indicated that she might have been trying to cover up her involvement in the murder, and detectives believed she was hiding something crucial. The texts between Elizabeth and Hosu revealed that Chavez had arranged the fight between the boys, and further investigation into her phone records showed that she had been deeply involved in the events leading up to the shooting. Despite Chavez's calm demeanor, detectives knew they had to dig deeper into her story. With mounting evidence against her, it was clear that she was not being entirely truthful, and the real truth behind Hosu's murder was just beginning to surface. The arrest. After weeks of investigation, detectives finally had enough evidence to make an arrest in the case of Hosu Ruiz's murder. The breakthrough came when investigators obtained crucial cell phone data, which showed that Elizabeth's brother, Angelo Baldonado, was in the alley where Hosu was shot. The final pieces of the puzzle came together as detectives discovered text messages that indicated the murder was part of a plan orchestrated by Elizabeth's mother, Elizabeth Ortiz Chavez. Despite Angelo's repeated denials, the evidence was overwhelming. On June 15, 2022, Angelo was arrested for the murder of Hosu Ruiz. His arrest shocked the family, but it was clear that Chavez's influence had played a significant role in the tragic events leading to Hosu's death. As detectives continued to piece together the story, they discovered that Chavez had been trying to cover up her involvement, and her actions had led to the wrongful imprisonment of her own son. On May 5, 2023, after months of investigation, Elizabeth Ortiz Chavez was arrested and charged with second-degree murder. The truth was finally revealed, but the damage to the family was irreversible, and the investigation into the events surrounding Hosu's death had uncovered a far more sinister plot than anyone had anticipated. This twisted case proves that even the closest family ties can hide dark secrets. Elizabeth Ortiz Chavez's shocking involvement in her boyfriend's murder left everyone questioning who they could trust. What would you do if you found out your family was involved in such a tragedy? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below! And don't forget to hit that subscribe button to stay updated on our latest true crime stories. Don't miss our next video. He disappeared after leaving one chilling clue. Coming soon!